Good morning, Ivy. How are you? This is Michelle. You can hear my voice. Um, I'm going to go through your scenarios and responses and just offer you a few suggestions. Your submissions are always so well done. I really appreciate them. So I just want you to know this is not a reflection of the assignment submission not being good. It's more that this module always requires some feedback from me this way because there's so many new ideas and ways of interacting with children in them that I find the candidates so far that I've done these recordings for feel they're very helpful in terms of looking at the different ways we talk with children in this category. And as you go through these modules in Module 3, or excuse me, the lessons in Module 3, I think you'll learn more and more and see more and more about what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to make a few comments here to sort of get you thinking. And maybe you would want to go in and change some of your responses a little bit, just tweak them a little bit. But I don't really care so much about this assignment being tweaked as I do your way of thinking about interacting with children over this module maybe being shifted a little bit. So, and again, this is for all of us. We're all always learning about ways we can interact with young children most effectively. So I'm just going to go through these scenarios and talk to you a little bit about them. And then if you want to go back in and tweak them a little, you can resubmit, and I can send you on to the next lesson. So you have a green trash truck. The scenario is Leighton has trouble letting anyone else play with the green truck. So what we want to do is think about reframing that description and the way we see Leighton. And I'm assuming these are not the children's real names. If they are, they need to be taken out and replaced with just the word child. So that's something I wanted to mention also, that this should not be their child's real name. And that's true for all of them all the way through. So if these are the children's real names, you definitely need to resubmit it. And we never use the children's real names in any of these assignments. You can just put child there. You don't have to have a name. So, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this has trouble letting anyone else play with the green truck. So if we can reframe that and say, this child plays with the green truck often and has difficulty when someone else wants to play with it or is already playing with it. So, it's just something to think about in terms of first saying how much he loves the green truck, that we understand that this is something that he really wants to do and he wants to do in great depth, and that would help him develop attention and memory and focus skills, but also it's something he really enjoys and loves. So when you respond to him that he can play with it for 5 minutes, that's a very short period of time to let a child play with something they really love playing with. There is a way of looking at when children play with toys that they play with them until they're done playing with them. So you might say to me, well, if I let him play with it till he's done, he won't ever be done. He'll carry it around with him. So that tells you just how attached he is to this item and how important it is to him. So you want to really think about that. The idea of sharing is really overemphasized in early childhood settings. And we need to start thinking about ways of presenting the idea of sharing in different ways. That's all. So I just wanted you to think about that a little bit. It's very frustrating for kids. Imagine if I told you, for example, let's say most adults can relate to, what if I told you you could only have your phone for 5 minutes and then you had to give it to someone else, and then you didn't know when you were going to get it back again. Something like that. It's hard for us to imagine the green truck being so important, maybe, but maybe you can think of something in childhood that it would have been very hard for you to share, so to speak. So just introducing you to some new ideas there about that. You will see in conscious discipline and other things you're about to learn about that they'll go into this more deeply. The classroom sink. Asher is washing his hands as I asked. Ziani wants to wash his hands at the same time. So they're just going to do turn taking. That's fine. One thing I want to point out to all teachers is when you phrase things as a question, can you? It's not really a question. You're not if he says no, I can't, is that going to be okay? So this is something adults do all the time with kids. They ask them questions that they really don't want the answer to. It's not actually an option. It's something that you're asking them to do. So you can just state to him, so and so will wash his hands first, and then you can wash your hands after him. You can call it turn taking. Taking turns is how we make sure everybody gets a chance. Something like that. And again, I'm wanting these names to be out of there if they're the children's real names. Pictures hanging from ceiling. Giovanni keeps trying to pull pictures down hanging from the ceiling, even after I've told him to stop trying to pull them down. So this is something that, again, you're looking at how this is phrased. I guess I'm a little curious about why pictures are hanging from the ceiling. I'm not sure about that, because that would invite the child to want to play with them. That's a natural activity that a child would engage in, is seeing things up high and trying to touch them or pull them down so they can see them. That's a very natural thing to do. So if you don't want children to do that, you probably shouldn't have things hanging from the ceiling that they can try to pull down. I don't know what else to say about that. It's really setting kids up for issues with us when we put things in place that they would naturally want to do, and then we tell them they can't do it. So we're setting everybody up to have issues. Your response is, I keep asking you to stop pulling the pictures down. Let's go play with blocks. So these initial things right here, this is what we don't want to be saying to children. This is designed to make him feel bad about what he's doing or she's doing. I'm not sure Giovanni is a boy or a girl name there. But I want you to start thinking about just saying, let's go play with some blocks so we can build a bridge for our cars. There's no need to say this thing about, I keep asking you to stop pulling the pictures down. You're actually sort of making this point about putting children in a position of being interested in something and wanting to do something with it and not having impulse control yet. And so you want to really ask yourself, why are those pictures hanging from the ceiling? So that's just something I want you to think about and maybe go back and tweak the answer. Ziani keeps taking his shoes off. So this is a common thing that children do. It's a new skill. It's something they want to do over and over again. So I'm hoping that you understand that. I can't tell in your answer, but and So yes, you would have to work with him or her on putting their shoes on. Yeah, that's fine. Laying on the table, they want to lay on the table. Yeah, that's a very natural thing for young children to want to do. Um, so, what you want to do is instead of telling them what the table is for, you can do that. It's more important to say, let's go lie down over here. And where else can we lie down? And go around the room and find all the places that you can lie down. Um, that kind of thing. Instead of the table is not for laying on. Because to them, the table is for laying on. I hope that makes sense. I know for adults it's hard. So we want to start changing this language here. Giovanni throws the toys up in the air and over the wall. Yeah, so you can wait till we go outside and then you can throw the ball. So I would say, want to let you know that throwing is one of the 7 or 8 actions that young children do regularly. Throwing is something they do. And so instead of asking this child to wait to go outside and throw, what could they throw in the room? You can have all kinds of items. And you could even, I always suggest teachers have a box it's called the throw box. And it's okay to throw these things in the classroom. So asking a child to wait to go outside to throw is like asking them to wait to do something else that they would naturally do. It's very challenging for them, and it causes a lot of unnecessary frustration. If you have things in the room that if they throw them, it would hurt them, then I would strongly suggest you get those things out of the room. If it's a ball that could hurt somebody, it shouldn't be in the room, I guess is what I would say, because young children throw. So that's something I want you to think about and tweak. Let's see. Asher keeps putting toys in his mouth. Yeah, so telling a child it's yucky to do something that comes naturally to them is not an appropriate response. Children do put things in their mouths. That's what young children do. So, we need to have things in the room they can put in their mouths, so you want to replace that. So you have a scenario here about hitting each other over toys. Yeah, so this response is, I think that you want to really think about this. If children are hitting each other over toys, you have a different kind of issue in your classroom, and telling kids to tell the teacher. Young children don't do that really. They're impulsive still, and they are not thinking. They are not hitting each other. They are impulsively acting out of frustration and emotions. So you have 4 names here. I'm not sure if these are the children's real names, but it sounds like you have a lot of very typical behavior for young children in these scenarios, all of them, that you are seeing as problematic, and actually what they're doing is very natural. So we want to set them up in a different way. If they're not able to manage whatever toys are in the room, I'm wondering if they have enough of things. And they don't need toys. You can bring in boxes. You can bring in things that don't cost anything. So they have plenty to play with. And so this is something I want you to think about, and think about your response. Telling them it's not good to hit will not really help them, and it won't help them to tell the teacher, because they won't do that. They're too young. Anyway, I want you to rethink that. You might want to go back into the module lessons and really look at those again. and see if you see some other options there for some of these responses. Um, and Yeah, so young children do not, if they're moving and playing instead of listening to the book, they're actually, what young children do is they move so they can listen to the book. I know that may be something new for you, but young children need to move to take in information. So if they're moving around while you're reading a book, they're telling you they need to move to really be with you for this book. I don't know how old these children are, but young children really don't sit and listen to a book a lot of times. So if you're doing a book time and you're trying to get them to sit and listen, um, I would say instead of having them do the music after the book, maybe do it before the book so that maybe they can, expend some of what you're calling energy, but also check yourself on the length of the book. Check yourself on how many children at a time you're asking to sit and listen to the book, all that kind of thing. So I want you to rethink that a little bit and look at the assignment again. The rest of the class is lined up at the door. So yeah, that's a great response. We're lined up and ready to go. Just take my hand so we can walk together. That's great. So your scenario descriptions indicate a level of, how you're feeling about what the child is doing. And I just really want you to understand that what these children are doing is very natural for their age. They are not doing anything, quote, wrong, so to speak. They are acting as if they are young children. And what we're asking them to do a lot of times is unnatural for their age. So part of what I want you to do is go back and look at these. And I think I would like you to rewrite some of them after you listen to what I'm saying. You might even want to go back into the lesson modules. Then I want you to keep all of this in mind as you go through the rest of the lessons in this module. Yes, you've got really good stuff here. Name their feelings, attend to their needs. So you have a lot of things here about infants, and I want to make sure that I understand how old the children are in all of these scenarios. Because if they are young, if they're infant toddler age, these behaviors are very, very natural for them. They're not doing anything, quote, wrong. They're behaving like children their age, and it might be the expectations and that sort of thing need to be tweaked so we can help you more. So, in summary, what I want you to do is go in first and take out all these names if they are the names of the children in your class. Then I want you to go through these one by one with my comments and see what changes you can make to adjust for what I've said. And if you need more help, just let me know. That's fine.